Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the end of week 9. Apologies for the lateness of this video. It's been a week full of family illnesses and playing catch up, and it's just been kind of put off and put off. But I wanted to get this to you before the week ended because I've had a couple people reach out just a little bit concerned about the third essay as it's coming up. Before I get to that, I will say that as far as revisions of essays that we've done so far in the semester, what I tend to do is this, and I've mentioned this before, but what I tend to do is once the first 3 essays have been submitted and graded and feedback posted and all that, I usually at the end of the semester will open up and give a couple of weeks for folks to submit a rewrite of one of the first 3 essays of the semester. And so, this is an opportunity for you to go in and find that feedback that is left in the assignment folder and get with me if you have any questions about any of that. I don't really have any math as far as that goes. This is totally optional, and it's not as though I will, give 5 points or 10 points extra if you submit a revision. Essentially what I do is I just read the essay that you have submitted and grade it as if it were the first time I had seen it. So it's a good opportunity to turn a C into an A or such. If you destroy your essay, I will let you keep your original grade. It doesn't always happen, or it doesn't often happen, but it happens often enough to make mention. But as far as essay 3 goes, a lot of people have been daunted by the task where we are dealing with a really rather Peter Singer-ish kind of trolley problem philosophical conundrum about the bridge scenario. If you haven't checked out the prompt, it essentially boils down to this. A person is walking across a bridge that goes over a train track, and they see a train and they see a family on the track below them. And for whatever reason, they cannot avoid this train, and the person on the bridge can't warn them that it's coming. It seems like tragedy is going to strike. However, on the bridge, there's a big boulder that's placed in such a way that if the person wants to, they could push the boulder down and wreck the train. I am going to stress this because for the sake of ease, it's already kind of a complicated, assignment, but for the sake of ease, I just want to stress that there are really only 2 options for this assignment. If the boulder is pushed, the train wrecks. If the boulder is pushed, the train hits the family. There's no real situation where the boulder is pushed, the train wrecks, the boulder flies into the family, and everybody is hurt. For the sake of just giving it a yes or no kind of answer, do you think that boulder should be pushed? And I don't really encourage you to think of this as just a what would you do kind of situation. That's kind of where the research portion of this comes in. We need to kind of give ourselves the best educated guess that we can about what might be on that train, why the family might be there, how many people are at risk one way or the other, and so on and so forth. And within that, we will formulate our opinions. You might right now find yourself thinking, well, yeah, I'd push the boulder because there's a family at risk and there's probably nothing on the train. It's very likely that some people would be like, no, I'm not going to push the boulder because I don't think there's any good reason for the family to be there. That kind of thing. Whatever position you have now very well could possibly change and frequently does over the course of the next couple of weeks. Starting next week, we're going to take this assignment rather piecemeal and approach it one little bit at a time. And hopefully after the end of a couple weeks, you'll have a handful of sources that you can use to sort of say, here's what I think we're dealing with, and considering what we're dealing with, here is what I think should happen. And then part of that assignment is, of course, dealing with the opposing viewpoints of those who said whatever the opposite of you said. If you are saying, yes, I think the boulder should be pushed, then you at some point will need to deal with the folks who say, no, I don't think the boulder should be pushed, and vice versa. That's that whole argument part. That's the part that we're focused on this week. We're focused on just the nuances of how to engage opposition and use it as a means of enhancing our own argument. So the discussion post this week is about baseball, which is fitting since the playoffs are happening. If any baseball fans are out there, hello. but specifically the topic of steroids in baseball, or performance enhancing drugs generally. I know not everybody cares about sports or steroids and that kind of thing. So, some of you may have to just kind of come up with an opinion on this stuff. Some of you may already have an opinion on this stuff, in which case, the discussion post this week is about taking a side on this issue and then using sources to sort of not only back you up, but to help you address opposition. So you have two articles from two authors, George Will and Cindy Ginnan. Their articles are posted and linked in the discussion post for this week. One takes a very pro-steroid stance. The other takes a very anti-steroid stance. And so what you'll need to do is read both of those two articles and then, take your own position on the topic. You don't necessarily have to just sort of look at what the two authors are saying, but use their texts as pretend sources for a paragraph that you're writing on this topic. So if you are in favor of steroids, you will use Cindy Gindan's text to sort of help you make your points, while using George Will's text as an example of someone who has an opposing viewpoint that you intend to address. And then in addition to that, there's just a couple of library tutorials that I've linked to this week. These library tutorials are super easy. They're just designed to kind of guide you through the sort of resources that the college has available. And there's also one on source credibility verification. You have to be the one to, especially when you're dealing with internet research, which will be where we'll start next week, you have to be the one that determines that your sources are actually credible, because not any old tat will go into a college essay anymore, right? So that's the assignment for this week. We're just sort of rehearsing the process of engaging opposition and counter-arguing, and doing so in a way that doesn't make us look bad in the process. I mentioned Peter Singer earlier. Vast majority of the people who don't like Peter Singer really don't have that much of an issue with the kinds of things that he is arguing and what he ultimately wants, but most people just don't like the way he said it. Most people don't like the way he calls people out who disagree with him. And that's the kind of thing that you as authors have to think about on your own now. Like, you can't just say, I think steroids should be banned and anyone who disagrees with me is an idiot, because that only makes you look bad as an author and as an arguer. So have fun with that assignment. If you don't really have an opinion on steroids, or if you are kind of wishy-washy on the issue, pick a side and go all out. Have a good time coming up with an argument. And in the meanwhile, be thinking about this train scenario. Be thinking about just what your overall feelings are toward it, and get ready next week to start doing some preliminary internet research, where we're going to try to answer a bunch of questions. We're going to try to figure out what we're dealing with, and within that, what would the best outcome be, the best action to take, push the boulder or not, right? If you have any questions about any of this, just let me know. Hopefully, as we start walking ourselves through it next week, it will become a little bit more apparent. But if not, just shoot me an email, holler at me during virtual office hours, whatever you need. And in the meanwhile, get the work done for this week, and enjoy your weekend. Look for more next week, and I will talk to you later.